Rolling.
Just review kind of the tape. What kind of stood out to you maybe that you didn't see in live and in-game action from Friday?
It was good waking up Saturday morning. We still won the game. I think that's the biggest thing we took away. They didn't take it away from us. So it was wild. The biggest takeaway still to this day that I take away from it is just the belief. We team meeting, we put up the scoreboard. Down 14, we had the ball back, 30 seconds left in the third quarter. And just kind of where your mind was at. And those kids kept believing. And John put the team on his back, made all sorts of insane plays. I was going up and down the sideline saying, defense, 2 more stops, right? Offense is going to get 3 more possessions in this quarter. We're going to score every possession. We're going to win this game. I should have said 3 more stops. That was on me. Okay, and then just that 26 seconds to execute it exactly how we've worked it many times in fall camp. Get to the 35-yard line to give Dean a shot. Dean to go nails there and make it. I just think there's so many things to clean up. We haven't played our best football. We were on the short week. We got the win, and we're moving on to Boise State.
I want to ask specifically about Josh Meredith. You've talked about in the past he didn't get what he wanted to be the last couple of years, and that could even maybe apply to the first couple games where he wasn't as involved in the passing offense. Last 2 games, obviously heavily involved. Where have you seen him, even in this season, kind of grow and understand what his role is and kind of take the reins that way?
I just think he stays the course, in everything we ask him to do. This offense not as designed for those inside guys to excel, but I think you saw that out of Lincoln last year, and they can find space. And the more he plays, the more he's understanding how to utilize his skill set and where to get him the ball. We're going to need to do that this week because I think this Boise State team is really good in the core. He played another 15 snaps on special teams. He played 80-some snaps on offense. He just does whatever the team needs him to do. He doesn't complain, doesn't say much, just delivers his best, and I think that's what a great teammate does.
Jake, I'm reading here that you played through an appendicitis as a senior.
That is a great fact. And then, you want to know how long I was out with that?
How long?
2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks. It was Friday night before one of our games. As I went to the hospital like 2 a.m, the bus was going to leave at 6 a.m. and had appendix taken out, and 2 weeks later we're out there playing.
I'm curious about that because I guess you also moved from quarterback to receiver to skill on the field a little more. I know that was 20-some years ago, but I'm curious if that experience kind of shaped.
Was it 20-some years ago?
Was it?
I felt like that. Jeez, 20 years ago, Greg. That's old. You make me feel old,
well,
but
I didn't mean to make it sound like that. But,
yeah.
But just that experience, has that shaped kind of who you are as a coach today, just kind of making change to get on the field a little more?
It was funny because back then I even laugh. I was a quarterback and brought in a transfer quarterback. Brett Bohart is actually my great friend now, still to this day. Our families are great friends. And I thought about transferring. I did. I took a visit to old Concordia, Milwaukee, My good friend's a grad there. I say they're actually D4, even though they're D3. But stayed with it because I loved the team. And I was like, I want to find a way to contribute to the team. I loved where I was at. My brother was playing there. It's where I met my wife. So it was just one of those things where I was going to do anything for the team. And even as a backup quarterback, I had a chance a couple of times to run down on kickoff. So I loved it. I wasn't very good, but I had a great experience when I moved to wide receiver. So I kind of share that passion. The guys I played with, though, Greg, you were just playing because you love the game. We weren't pros. We were never going to be pros. We just woke up every day, just loved playing, and I think that's what that embodied, that kind of player movement.
The last time you guys, or not you guys, the team played Boise State was 7 years ago, triple overtime here. Obviously, you weren't here at that time, but have you ever gone back and watched the highlights of that game, or what's your awareness?
I've heard it was another wild game. Bill told me that from the San Jose, that was probably the next wildest game he's been a part of. Maybe I've been a part of a few in his couple of years here. But I played at Boise in 17, took them down to the wire. They came into Laramie and whooped us in 18, lost in overtime in 19. Tough place to play. Really tough place to play. So our older guys, I equate it to Oregon. It'll be packed. It'll be lively. I think a lot of our fans will be there too. It's going to be a great environment and a great atmosphere to play in, and I think our guys are excited about it.
Coach, obviously 2 years in a row, starting 4-0. Last year, the strong start, and then, some bumps in the road the rest of the way. What's kind of different about this team, or maybe the way that you're coaching it, or what, I guess, have you just learned from last year that you can apply to this year? I
told the team, this is what it is. But going into last game, we were 0-10 with me being the head coach, went down in the fourth quarter. They changed that, all right? And to keep believing, to keep energizing, to keep straining and pushing and do it for the team. I mean, I just think once you do it, once you break through, it's like, okay, we can do this, right? I think that's what everyone feels today. Even though it wasn't perfect and there were so many things that we got to correct and execute and coaching, all that stuff we talked about. But to see those guys break through and do that, I think that says a lot to the culture. That was a culture win Friday night. No doubt about it. They believed in each other. They kept pushing. The glue of those bonds and that trust kept rolling. And like I said, 10 was just amazing.
One area of the game, at least offensively, that there was significant improvement. Saturday was 12 of 34 on third down going into the week, and then 9 of 15.
Yeah.
What kind of goes into that execution, and how do you feel like you guys were just able to change your fortunes on third down offensively?
I think it's all a balance. When you look at the analytics, we weren't great on first down. We weren't. We weren't very good in the early down success rates, but kept the chains moving. I thought we did a good job sequencing. I thought we did a really good job throwing short, running long. A couple of times we threw it in front of the sticks. Those guys made some things happen. And like I said, I continue to say, John has kept a lot of things alive with his feet, with his arm, with his accuracy, just with kind of how he handles a bunch of different things they were throwing at us of that protection. But it was huge to keep the chains moving and obviously led to, 600-yard effort and a lot of great plays within it.
So Friday night you faced the best wide receiver in the nation. Now Saturday you faced the second best running back in the nation.
Who's better than him?
The kid from Iowa who just had the 250 yards on Saturday.
Okay. He's only played in 3 games, but we're going by yards. I'm with you. Okay.
When you look at Genty on tape, just what do you kind of see from him? I know Sire's going to be a game-time decision, but obviously a great running back room there. Just what do you see from those guys?
He's averaging 10 yards a carry. Okay, and they played some pretty prominent teams, and he played a half of football last week. I mean, so he's strong. He's got one of the best stiff arms I've seen in a long time. So if you think you're going to tackle him above the waist, it's just like it's not happening. You got to get through his legs. You got to kill his motors. You got to have a gang tackle with this guy. It's not just going to be one person. You got to keep your leverage. I mean, he's just a really talented football player, and I don't know if there's a running back out there that's really great without being behind a really good offensive line, too. I mean, these guys are moving people. They remind me of Oregon State in that fashion where they're firing off the ball. Sometimes every once in a while movement can get them, but they are going to dictate to you quickly. They use them in a bunch of different ways. In the pass game, screen game, every time he touches the ball, I mean, he can go to the HUD. I think he has 3 runs over 70 yards or something like that, so no one's catching him either. So quite the task. We know we have to load the box up and force them to throw. I mean, I don't think that's revolutionary, but try to limit and control his running will be a big step. And those guys up front, it's going to be a big challenge.
When you face 2 star players like that in back-to-back weeks, is that something you and Coach Schmed kind of embrace, or like how do you kind of look at this, especially early in the season when you're still trying to build and get that defense to where you want it for later in the season?
I mean, I just think you build on experience. I mean, you go in the Pac-12 every week, you're facing a guy that's last year just felt like first-round pick, first-round quarterback. I mean, we've just done it, so. I think those are both really good players, but we're used to it. Those guys understand the challenges of it. You got a game plan around it, and you got to put your guys in a position to go out there and play fast, which is what we have to do more on defense. And I think that just dictating more instead of letting those guys dictate to us.
Coach, I know that you don't love discussing the outside noise, but Boise State being ranked right above you guys, finding that top 25 spot. Do you think that your team's getting snubbed a little bit, or maybe what else do you think the nation needs to see from them to kind of get that recognition?
Well, I've said this before, and I said it last year. I don't think anybody should be ranked until week 5. It's hard to determine good wins, bad losses, who's good. I mean, Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois. Well, it's not so bad. Northern Illinois is top 25. Well, then they lose, and it's like it's hard to sort out who's what. So to worry about that at this point, I'll say it again, I want to be ranked at the end of the season, and then, actually then that ranking doesn't matter because then there's a committee that decides who goes to the CF. I mean, there's just all sorts of things where week 4, it's not farther from my mind, and all that stuff will play out.
And then Obviously, you talked about the run game. Is there anything else that really sticks out for Boise State? Maybe something that is less expected that you guys need to get on top of right away and just to start out the game strong?
Well, you got to limit the explosive plays. I mean, naturally, because they're so good at running the football, their play action pass game is incredible. They have two giant receivers that they throw the ball to. Their boot game, and we've had issues with boot game in the past. Quarterback is more than just a game manager. I think he's a good player. He's tough. He's physical. He runs when needed. And then offensively, we got to stay ahead of the chains. I mean, their core 7 players are built with physicality, and they're going to attack. I think in the second half against Oregon, they probably pressured 90% of the time. Can you access the space? And our offense is built on that. So we got to be artful. Our offensive line needs to bring it, needs to take a step forward. I think we had some finish issues against San Jose that I know will get corrected. So we got to make sure we're having a net positive up front at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball for us to have a chance to win this football game.
I always love that each conference has its respective identity. You talk about the Pac-12, you think about the West Coast offense, throwing the ball around. You talk about the SEC, it's, nose to the grindstone football. With your experience in the Mountain West and starting this slate of Mountain West games, what do you think the identity of that conference is and the style of football they play?
I always felt it's more Big Ten-ish. I felt like it's more ground and pound, be physical, aggressive defenses. I know it's changed a little bit since when I was there, but when I was in that league, that's where I always kind of felt it was. And when you study this Boise offense, all the way going back in my mind, since 2017 when I've been playing these guys, it's still very similar today. Pro style, tons of shifts and motions. I used to call it, formational wizardry. I mean, they're going to test every rule that you possibly have. I mean, we had to go against Madison kid, right? Okay, I think that's his name. I remember him jumping over our safety, stiff-arming another and taking it to the house. So there's just been a tough challenge, and it's physical football in the Mountain West. That's what it always has been.
Blue turf has so many myths and, whatever you want to call it around it, whether it's guys laying down in the end zone to get lost or birds apparently diving in and thinking it's a lake. What was your first experience walking out there, seeing it in person for the first time, not on TV, and seeing that stadium?
It's way better than the red turf. No offense to our friends up in Eastern Washington, but that hurts your eyes when you watch it for a whole week. This is very docile on the eyes. It's good. I just don't I was in the box the first time in 2017, and they're wearing blue on blue, which should be illegal, and I couldn't see the numbers. It was bad. But, you walk into the stadium, they display their tradition. You see the Sugar Bowl in the corner. You see the bowl game appearances. You see the history of numbers. I think they do a good job of honoring their football tradition there, right? So any one of the Cougs that go to there are going to see a wild environment, a sold-out crowd. So Pac-12 after dark still lives, and it's going to be a hell of a football game.
One more for me. Sometimes we talk about, the start of conference play feeling like the start of a new season. Does it feel that way for you? You're going to be playing some teams you've played before, but a lot of them, when you're playing in the conference portion or what should be the conference portion of your schedule, you maybe haven't seen them before.
That part does feel weird because normally you get to game 5 and, as a coach, you're always like, well, nothing matters. Conference is starting. Everyone's 0-0, right? The old coach speak stuff. But that definitely feels different, so we know the challenges. It doesn't replace the opportunities the same to still go 1-0, to still get this win, to not have the end in mind when you're playing this game. We didn't play the first 4 weeks with the end in mind. We just played now football. And that's what it'll continue to take as we go through it. We understand we got the target on our back. This is going to be a heck of a football game. 2 really good football teams going at it, but execution's going to win. So that's what we're excited about, and that's our whole focus this week. And because of the playing on the short week against San Jose, we gained a day. We were out there practicing this morning, and those guys got to be ready for a physical football game.
Last week, we saw Dylan Payne play a huge role in that game. I believe it was like 25 yards in that double overtime drive. Why was Dylan in that position, and what did you see from him in that role?
It's funny because we showed it to the team, and I just to make a great point, I said, Dylan, how many carries did you have coming into that game? And he said 3, right? And I said, well, why were you there carrying the ball in double overtime? He goes, because I was ready. And that's a powerful message to share with the team. He didn't flinch. He's a great teammate. He's been playing special teams, making an impact. And then when it was that time, we felt like Wayshawn was a little worn out, that DP was going to get downhill. That 2nd down and 14 run that he had is incredible. It was really incredible. Dug us out of a hole. He made 3 people miss. Just sheer grit, and really proud of that kid. But that embodies what it is to be a great teammate. Because everybody, when you walk in this building, has a choice if you're going to be a great teammate or not. Whether you're getting your way or you're not getting your way, just really proud of guys just like that. And Dylan embodies what it is to be part of this team.
And then a comment you said last week, you said, I don't think, if you're being honest, you think that coaches don't want to see WSU succeed, if I'm correct in that. I was wondering, not to explore that comment, but just to sort of explore that. Before you got to WSU, what was your perception of WSU, just from working throughout football? And would you, when you saw it on TV or you heard about Washington State, what was your perception, and how do you think, do coaches have a similar perception to what you had before you got here?
Well, I think maybe they do, maybe they don't. I can't speak for anybody else, but the Wazoo brand is strong, especially as I've worked my career out to the West Coast. I mean, we're still feeling that today reverberate up and down the West Coast. So there's been a lot of people that built this place before us, and we're the keepers of the program now, and we're really proud of what we're building.
Last one for me, just, you guys had the game at Lumen, which was obviously over there in Seattle, but with this being your first true road game, you guys are battle-tested, been through 4 games already, but is there anything you have to do differently? Is there crowd noise things you have to do this week to get ready for a hostile environment? Yeah,
there'll definitely be some crowd noise stuff. I've been in there. It'll definitely be loud. But we do that kind of with every road opponent, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I apologize, Pullmanites, at 8 to 9, there's going to be a lot of crowd noise going throughout the city. So you just get ourselves in that environment. It gets the juices flowing too. I mean, our guys are ultimate competitors. They want to go into the biggest arenas, play on the biggest stages, and our guys are just excited about playing against really good competition in a good environment.
What do you kind of have an idea of what the plan will be this week when it comes to Lely, Christian, Rod, kind of how you're going to kind of deploy those 3 guys at right tackle / left guard?
I think very similar plan. Lely was, kind of got hard at the end. Kind of went with Christian a little bit more, but he'll go 2 on, 2 off. Christian will rotate some at guard. He didn't do it this week. We didn't feel like it was quite there, but I think he'll do some of that now. And it's a challenge to always find the best 5. And we'll have a big determination on the bye week who that is to get some gelling going. But I thought Lely was pretty efficient when he was out there, and he's trusting it more and more every day.
And then notice, kind of building a little bit off Sam's question, Juvenski, I don't think saw the field. And then also kind of curious, Dean doing the kickoff duties instead of Ryan. Is anything kind of note there?
Yeah, Ryan got hurt in pregame, so Dean just an amazing job of stepping in. It's the first time I told him since I've been a head coach that got one guy does all 3, just incredible. Andre was down for last game with an ankle. Same thing with Javinsky. Both expected to be back. We'll be out with Billy Revere for a couple weeks. Other than that, feel pretty good about where our team has been through 4 physical football games. And after the bye week, Carlos, Jamori, we'll be back. So excited about getting 2, starters back, for our football team. I think that'll be really big.
Is Nick okay, or is there any update on him?
Just right now, just going through the process, so not a lot of updates. He's still out for this week.
I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned Boise State and kind of some of their football history that you can see through what they've done historically. Obviously, you still have the Pac-12 branding with the team right now, Boise State joining the conference, but I'm wondering if you can kind of draw any inspiration from what Boise State has been able to do throughout their history, but also now with kind of their star players and the attention that they've gotten on them kind of going into a NULA conference, and what maybe kind of a message that can give you to give your players, showing them maybe Boise State this week and saying, look what these guys have been able to do, and these players, what kind of attention they can get even in like a Mountain West conference.
No, we won't talk about that. Okay. That's their history. We're creating our own history. I'm just going to probably leave it at that.
Just real quick, kind of expanding on Ryan, do you expect him back this week, or is that probably a multi-week thing?
Oh, right now it looks like a multi-week thing. Yeah, probably him back after the bye week too.
And then when you say after the bye week, are you talking like that first game against Fresno?
Yeah, Fresno.
Okay.
Yeah. So those guys will be revved up, getting Indy. We have enough time throughout the course of those 14 days to get some breaks for some other guys and get these guys revved up, ready to go. So Carlos was running around on the field today. Jamori's doing Indy. I mean, just some positive steps that we're taking to get back.
One more just off of that. When you have a game like this going into the bye week, are guys more apt to leave it all out there versus trying to save something in the tank, knowing that they're going to have a little bit of extra time to recover?
Yeah, as a coach, you would say hopefully not, right? But I think absolutely. I mean, they know kind of where we're at, and on the back end of it, there's 3 days off. What are you saving? Even the coaches, I told them we're going to push this week, and we pushed. I mean, we were back in early Saturday, getting a great game plan together. Kind of got the extra day on Boise. As I told them, next Sunday's off. Push. We won't get back till 3 in the morning or whatever, but just make sure that we're there. But it's all about focusing on this week, and I think with the double bye week season, it kind of puts it in different phases. And this is the end of that first 5-game stretch for us. That's the start of the season. Then it's like the middle 8 of a game, and then it's the final finish. So it's kind of good for players' bodies and recovery and academics and a whole bunch of things to have these couple bye weeks.